This is what I'm saying. Ni ya left umeinua. So neighbor wako achukue mkono yake ya right aekele juu ya kidole. Oh, we are now together. Kuna watu naona walianguka mtihani. Nyinyi sijui venye mtafanya mform ikuwe ya circle. Make sure it's a complete circle. Please make sure it's a complete circle. If you're 2, if you're 3, make sure it's a complete circle. Kuna watu hapa ni kama walianguka mtihani. So this is what I will do. Ile team ya fire, si fire, tutulie. Ile team tutulie. Tutulie. So now the instructions are clear. So I want us to do it again. Nikisema 1, ile kidole yako unaiweka 1. Nikisema 2, unaekelea kidole wapi? Mkono juu ya kidole. Aya, so 1, 2. Akina msivunje kucha. Unajua nani alisema leo ameweka kucha juu amekuja Mombasa? Hiyo pesa isiende. It's a lot of money. Kutengeneza kucha si pesa kidogo. Aya. So now, ikiwa hivyo, when I say 3, make sure umeshika huyo mtu, sawa? Na mtu yote anashikwa, and let's be very honest. Unashika hiyo kidole yake. So make sure haujashikwa kidole. Na ukishikwa kidole, kuja na huyo mtu na hiyo kidole mpaka hapa mbele, sawa? Together now. Aya, mikono chini. Mikono chini. I will tell you a story. So mahali mtasikia 1, mnafanya. Nikisema kwa hiyo story mahali kuna 2, unaekelea. Mahali nitasema 3, unaishika. We go. Story. Nyinyi huko mnaibia mtihani. Mikono chini. Mikono chini, mwache kuibia. Atujambo tuwekele. So, one day, in a country called Kenya, one person sat down and realized that community journalists should come together. Mkorada? Because when they come together, great things happen. Hapa, sasa mbona mnashika? Mumesikia 3 wapi? Hapana, nyinyi watu mnaibia. Mi sijasema 3 bado. Aya, so let's go back to 2. So when the 2 people came together, they decided to form an association. They met in the first conference in Nairobi, second conference in Nairobi, fourth conference in Mombasa. But today morning, we had a panel discussion in the 4th conference. And in the 4th conference, we had a panel session that had award winners from the 3rd conference. Hey. Mtu yoyote ameshikwa, njoo na yeye hapa. Yes. Please come. Make your way to the front. Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you. No. But mwache hapo. But nimesikia complain hapa that sikusema 3, nilisema 3rd. Siko sawa? Si bora ni 3. Si mimi nimesema, ni hawa wamesema. So DJ, pandeni tu hapo mbele tuone vizuri. Thank you very much. Tuwapigie makofi hawa winners wetu. Very nice. So DJ, see you do your thing. DJ, do your thing. Na sasa iko hivi. DJ ngoja. Kila mtu anatokea na move, alafu wengine wana dance. Sawa? So tunaanzia hapo, unakuja na move, wase wana dance. Hivyo. Sawa? Yes, twende. Wapi makofi ya dancers wetu? Very nice. Very nice. Move ingine. Tupate move ingine. Alex, tupate move. Aya, tupa move. Hello. Tupate move yako. Very nice. Nice. Tuwapigie makofi. Great. So now we are ready for the next session. So join me in welcoming and also remember to continue engaging on social media, both Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok. And also for our amazing partners, we appreciate the support and we recognize the efforts that you're doing. So during this session, we will be having editors from different media houses sharing what happens behind the scene. And it will be quite an engaging session, and we will equally use that opportunity to ask questions as journalists and also ensure that we get to report effectively. So help me welcome Stella Alex, who will be moderating this session. Makofi yake mpaka afike. Very nice. Karibu.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Sasa niko tayari. Fire see fire. Stella ni fire see fire. Perfect. Okay, my name is Stella Alex, and I'm a broadcast journalist, a freelance journalist for that matter, an award-winning journalist as well. I think I should have started with that. Yes, and I'm glad to be here. Okay, this session gonna be fun, amazing. I love interacting with editors, sana. And I'm glad that the people I'll have here double as station managers as well. I think all of them, if I'm not wrong. Yule wakati. Ni nani hapa amewahi rudishwa mara si moja wala mbili wala tatu na editor wake juu ya story? Maybe anakuambia hii story hatuwezi tukapeperusha, hii story sijui hatuwezi tukafanyaje. Mkono juu. Asante. Thank you. All right. Nikikuita jina, please stand up. Alafu nitakwambia ambacho utafanya kabla ufike hapa. My panelists. All right. We have Lydia Olola from HMI Radio. DJ, kila mtu na yake, sawa? Kila mtu na yake. Lydia, do what you do best. Nasikia kule chami unatetemesha sana. Lydia, show us your moves. Show us your moves. Hey. Karibu sana, leaders from Echami Radio. Then we have Stephen Maina. Now, Steve, tumekutana sana. Stephen. Steve, watu wanadansa tukimbi. Si unajua I'm very strict. Si unajua tumefanya kazi na we sana. Si unajua I'm very strict, sivyo? Aya. Piga muziki, DJ. Bas. Asante sana, karibu Steve Maina from RFM. Then we have Joseph Oluoch. Joseph, yuko wapi? Joseph Oluoch. Bas. DJ. DJ. Thank you. Joseph. Joseph, I am not biased. I am not biased. All right, last but not least, we have John Ogoi from Vuna FM. Jonte. Karibu sana DJ. John. All right, thank you so much. But before I sit down, all right. Watu wengi sana wameinua mikono. They've said that mmewarudisha sana so many times for reasons tutajua tu in the process before we are done with this panel. But before that, I have a challenge for the four of you. All right? I'm gonna tell you a statement, just a random thing. And then you're gonna create a headline from that statement. Sawa? Si mnajua rules za headline? Editors mnajua mjui? Asante. And then the audience, you will clap for the best headline. It's your time. Okay? It's your time. Let's do that thing. It's your time. Sindio? Perfect. Tuanze na nani? Steve. Tuanze na John. Okay, John. It rains in Mombasa. Do you have a mic, Susie? Please, let's be quick. We have a lot to unpack. John, it rains in Mombasa for the first time in 2 weeks. Headline? It rains in Mombasa for the first time in 2 weeks.
Rainy time.
Sorry?
Rain times.
Rain times. Mkwe very keen. Then we will vote tukimaliza. Sawa? Umesikia statement. It rains in Mombasa, okay, for the first time in 2 weeks.
Rain times are the coast.
Rains?
Times.
Ama rain times?
Rain times are the coast.
Okay.
Yes.
Umesikia?
Rain times are the coast.
Rain times at the coast. All right. John. A goat walks into a radio station. A goat walks into a radio station. Headline?
Goat moves.
No, ni kwako. Okay, niko hapa kwake. You have a second. Yako tushamaliza. We're done with yours. So tuko kwako. A goat walks into a radio station. Si unajua una approve zile msikilizaji mbuzi aliweza kuingia kwenye radio. Please, let's be quick. Let's be quick. Yes, microphone.
I would say a storm in a radio station as a goat walks in during a cast, because it is something unusual. Oh, sorry, I need not to explain. But I would say something like a bizarre incident in a radio station as a goat walks in during the cast.
How many words should ama niache? Sawa. Sawa. Tumemaliza kwake? Sawa. We will count those words. Lydia. Your mic goes off in the middle of a live interview. Your mic goes off in the middle of a live interview. Sorry.
My mic goes off in the middle of an interview.
Yes. Headline, editor. Mike. Lydia ni fire, see fire. Lydia ni fire, see fire. Sawa, girl child. Akifida, si tuko sawa,
Strategy
imagine.
at the radio station.
Sorry?
Strategy at the newsroom.
Tragedy at the radio station. Tragedy at the radio station. All right. Last but not least, mine. A Boda rider finds a lost flash disk full of government documents.
Government disclosed.
Government disclosed. Uh-huh.
No.
Okay.
High-level secrets
High-level secrets.
in an ordinary man's hands.
All right. Judges! Judges. Editors wakoje? Tuko wapi? Tukianza kule. How was it? Out of 10? Hai jamani. Isiwe ndio maana mnarudishwa. They're good, right? Okay. Ni kama mnaogopa editors. Ni kama Okay. Sorry? Wako sawa? They should redo 2 more. Editors are always right. Kuridu hatutaridu. Editors are always right. So tuna stick hapo. Wacha tuone kama editors are always right. Okay, tunaanza na Maina since he has the mic. Anyway, karibuni sana to this discussion. I'm hoping that we'll get to achieve whatever maybe we're hoping to achieve. And yeah, Maina, as you introduce yourself, and I think there's a question that I'm gonna throw to all of you, because I understand that most of you double as the station managers. So, najua issues nyingi sana nyinyi mnajua, from sustaining the media stations, apart from the media stations, pia the journalists themselves. Yeah, and so many other things. So, Maina, as you introduce yourself, please tell us, what does editorial independence look like currently, especially in the media landscape, and when we look at the community-based outlet?
So thank you, and good afternoon. My name is Maina Jenga. I'm the station manager at FM. Yeah, and I'm happy to be here. And direct to your question, what does editorial independence looks like?
Yeah.
And I think for me, editorial independence looks like, or the picture that I have of an editorial independence is whereby The journalists are able to independently do their work without any influence, political, external, internal, or any other kind of influence, basically because where we are seated or where we are coming from as community media outlets, there are challenges that make sometimes the editorial independence shaky, keeping in mind that sometimes our community media outlets are depending on resources that are probably handled by a few people, especially the political class. So for me, editorial independence is whereby people are working, or the editorial department is working, devoid of external influence that comes from people who are handling some of the few resources. And journalists who are working without the influence of brown envelope.
Okay, thank you, Lydia.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lydia Olola. I work with the Church Radio as the station manager. Ningependa kusema editorial independence is where the editor is not able to is journalist freedom to do their work. They are not pressed by maybe the politicians, or like unaandika story, unapelekea editor, anasema this story will not run, maybe because of this, maybe because of political influence. So they have freedom to write even political news freely without being interrupted by the politicians.
And talking of political, I think now we can hold it at that. Now that she has mentioned something very key, when you look at now the political influence, and the pressure that, especially now that we're heading to the election period, how do you navigate the political pressure or influence while protecting the editorial integrity and the entire maybe journalism skills and everything? Yeah.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Joseph Oluoch. I work with Radio Mikai as an editor. So I'll brush first on the first question, state of editorial independence in the community media. Several factors make that really not possible. We've talked about the political part. There are also the resource mobilization and ownership of these media entities. You realize that most of the community media stations, they are owned by some people, could be from the church setup, an NGO pushing a particular agenda, a politician. They come from different or diverse backgrounds. That influences what you really air sometimes. If you go to resources, most of the community medias are not really well equipped in terms of story has happened, they need to get there in time. So a lot of desktop journalism goes on. That one also infringes that independence. And then we've got other factors. So on a larger scope, I feel it is really not independent. If you look at it from the national context, like all of them, the freedom that you need to get the work done as an editor, sometimes you want to, but the station is owned by maybe a church. They want you to drive what they want. You go out of that, they tell you that is why probably they get funded. So in order not to lose the funding, you have to dance to that. So to your next question on political influence on editorial integrity, on what needs to be done in regards to that, I've worked with a number of people in a span of over 10 years, and I've never visited a politician. The chairman of AGJK has been my right-hand man, and he can tell you, in that period as an editor, I would be invited, and normally I would send him, like, go. The reason is, we want to work with the politicians, but I don't want to be compromised. So what do? You go there, get what they want. Now when they come to the station, the presenter would always tell them, I'm not asking the questions. It is the producer who is asking the questions. He's over there across the glass. The questions are here, and some are coming in, and he can also walk in and ask it. I think I adopted that to help me stay clear of what they do, because sometimes from the lunches they invite, the small tokens they give you here and there, they get you twisted. But if you are an editor, you get these people, and then you are the one who is going to keep the balance. So with you asking the questions, the blame will fall on you, yes. But you see, you've not interacted in any table. You owe him nothing, he owes you nothing. And you can come and look at him in the eye and it's like, yo, I'm just doing my job. So with that, hata kama alipea yule soda kule, hana lawama. Bado next time akishow up kwa event yake, he'll have a chance, but mimi I would not be there, you get it? So at the end of the day, I think for me and my team, that has helped us to get the work balanced over the years, where at the end of the day, the presenter does not fall in their bad books, and they don't also get compromised, because for him to be, I have to be as the editor. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And John, is it a challenge you've encountered?
Good evening, good afternoon. I come
Good
from the hotbed of politics, and that one you can tell it. I come from County 045, and 46, where you saw the other day things are happening. It is very hard to separate politics and media at the moment as I'm talking on this platform. We are really struggling to separate politicians and journalists. Actually, it is a day-to-day thing that is happening for security reasons. So if you don't run this story, you don't operate around here, because we know you, we know where you're coming from. So for journalists to strike this balance, and for editors to work separately from this that is happening around the place. Number one, the organization and plus the editor in charge has to strike this balance between the stories that run in a day and who is running this story. Try to be in the picture as an editor and be strict on it. I have actually saved a few from these lion teeth because if it is a story that demands security and you want to run it, then the editor is the man to run for. Number two, as an editor, you need to stand tall. You stand between this, what is pulling them to the political side from running it on air. So the journalists of the day, the Economic Times, and the work that they are doing is all mixed up in the name of money. So we need to strike a balance, and we have already done that. And I'm glad that today we're having that conversation here to see that we are preventing this from eating up what we call true journalism in our media houses. Yes.
Thank you so much, John. And I think the issue of political pressure and influence is a topic AGJK should plan for, and maybe call us again, not necessarily in Mombasa, but anywhere else. And it's something we really need to discuss and see how we're gonna maybe deal with it. Maina, I think I can come back to you on the issue of sustainability. Maybe from your experience, I think you've been at the station for a very long time, and having it that you were at the managerial level, maybe if you can tell us the practical steps that you've put in place to ensure that the station runs smoothly. I know it's not smooth, but to ensure that you are where you are currently.
Yeah, you're right. I think the conversation around sustainability is a big issue in every community media outlet. And so for RFM, what we did, we just sat down and looked at the things that are really eating into our resources. And one of the main things that we found was that we were hosted in a commercial building. And being a community radio station, and I believe most of community radio stations can work in a collaborative way with the government, because according to, I believe, we are not commercial. So we approached the government government officers in Limbu sub-county, and currently we are housed by the DCC, Limbu sub-county, and that does not compromise how we communicate or how we inform our people. And I think also something else that we are trying to do is to partner with our organizations just to see how they can support us, not necessarily in terms of cash, also in kind, because sometimes we focus so much on cash, and we forget that some of this cash we are using them to do things that we can receive freely in kind. So that is another thing that we've also done. We have also rechecked on our advertising catalog, our late card, because we have to admit that we are not the only, community radio stations are not the only now, they are not the only people who are in the space of marketing. We have influencers, technology has come in and all that. So we had to relook into our cardlet so that we can be able to attract as many advertisers as possible. And unfortunately also, we also, and I also realized this is something that is also happening in commercial media stations. We, unfortunately, some of the positions were rendered, we merged some of the positions so that we can be able to, unfortunately, reduce the number of staff who are working for us. So some positions were merged so that we can have fewer people working for us. And this is something I also say from where I sit. Sometimes we want to work with volunteers, but I also think volunteers also have some hidden charges. So we also looked in the numbers of volunteers that we could admit at a certain point. And so those are some of the things that we're doing. And of course, I've been an advocate of synergy. And I am so happy about what AGJK is doing. So there are a lot of money, and I always say this whenever I have such a sitting, there are lots of money, especially in the space of climate change. So if there's synergy, also, that's also something that we can come together and work together and pursue this kind of funding that is given to the county system and the national government through the NGCDF. Thank you.
How much have you empowered your journalists on that? Maybe the people you have in the newsroom.
Around
maybe climate change.
Oh yeah, that's okay. So one of the things that we have been trying to do, and we are almost doing it now, is to have a specific show in our programming matters around climate change. So that now, even when you're going to meet some of these people who are holders of this fund, we can tell them that you're already having a program in our normal programming, educating people about climate change. For example, and I think I've shared this before, that there's an act, a parliamentary act that changed the 5% from CDF that was being given to sports, now is given to climate change. And it's a lot of money. That one of the things that the money is supposed to do is to create awareness. Creating awareness, we can create awareness through our radio stations. However, we need to come together and advocate and ask for this money. I liked the person who opened the conference today was talking about even doing a memorandum. We also need to come together. If possible, we can be doing a memorandum each and every time we meet, and a petition, so that the government can know that we are aware of this money and it's meant to support us and support them to make this information get to the people and to our communities.
Thank you, Maina. Is there any other station here that has started maybe pursuing the climate change issue? Kuna mtu mwingine? Any other station? Ni moja tu? Mbili? Yeah, nimeona mbili. All right, sawa. We'll talk about it. Lydia, maybe from what Maina said, do you think, na I think hili ni swali letu sisi watatu, do you think tumefika ile point ya kusustain our stations bila kucompromise journalism standards? Like, okay, hapa mi staki brown envelope, staki. Are we hapo mabado?
Not really. In some point bado hatujafika hapo, kwa sababu unajipata nini, most people mwenye yani most sponsors lazima tu kuwe na brown envelope sometimes, because lazima ulipe hao ma journalists wenye wanawaka hapo, and lazima ulipe bills hapo hivyo, kuna stima nini lazima ulipe, then unapata the radio station is in a rental place, lazima ulipe rent. So kifikiria vitu vitu kama hiyo, sometimes it becomes hard.
Joseph?
I think anybody who is trying to venture into media business, we are in the business of telling the truth. Anytime we get compromised, we don't have the business going on. So with or without the brown envelope, our standards must be kept as media people. It is the only, we sell belief, we want people to believe us. You see, if I get compromised today, because I'm trying to maybe fund something tomorrow, and then I lose the market, because who wants to listen to a media station that you know clearly that this is compromised? So I believe for every editor, for every journalist, before even you get there, with that integrity that you carry along. So this is something that should be inherent in all of us. It doesn't have to be built over time. So yes, if we choose to bend, I always say that you are bending on your own accord. But if you are doing the right thing, then you really don't need to compromise, because if you do today, then even tomorrow after sustaining these bills, the very person you are compromising the standards for today is going to be your biggest enemy tomorrow. So don't. Because for example, you pick a brown envelope today from a politician A to put down B. Now tomorrow you are capable of standing on your own. This A will go out there on the streets, tarnish your name, and you see you can't come back because at one point you've done a shoddy deal with them.
Thank you. Proper programming starts with morality. And those two alone can help a station to be on its feet. There are people who give you business because they trust the voice behind the mic. They trust the content that comes out of it. Personally, in where I come from, we have signed businesses because of the content that is on air, because we are able to relate with the commoner. So if we are able to take it to that level where client can trust the voice behind the mic, then definitely you will not sack your employees. Two, we can remain afloat if we want, if we don't depend on this. When the station manager or the editor knows that the news we are running courtesy of the brown envelope, and you're confident running it each and every day, minus you assigning, majority of them go out minus assignment. They're not assigned. They go because a politician A is at a particular place. Politician B is at a particular place. Then politician A gives and politician B doesn't. You find that a number of them go to A, there is content or news at B, but they opt to go to where an envelope is dished out. So if we strike a balance between what the benefits the common person out here, your audience, then you will strike a deal out of it. Because you realize this envelope goes to a particular pocket. It never benefits a station. I've never heard where a journalist goes out and comes and tells you, hey, editor, hapa tuliumwa ka 5,000 hapa. Do you do that? Can you? So it reached a point where we said, by the way, if Bwana Mutesi calls you and gives you, I'm sorry to use him because he's a friend of ours, as an example, bring that money here. Bring it here so that it can support us run, because you are using the company name, our brand, to earn that envelope. And over time, by remaining focused, strict, and being there always monitoring it, we've remained afloat, away from the brown. It is something that we cannot erase right now, but eventually, with a good motive, we are getting out of it.
Thank you, and I'm glad that relating to so many things that, no, Joseph, to so many things that, no, just pass it on to Joseph. I'm glad that I'm relating to so many things that you guys are saying. Now that you're suggesting that maybe if a journalist gets that maybe 2K or 5K, probably in case they get it, walete tu hapo kwa meza, and maybe it can be used to sustain the station.
Is that a question?
Joseph, no, ndio hili swali sasa. What if, okay, do you think, hapa tunafikiria, we are not feeling, do you think editors wanachukua kakitu pia? Wakisema, no, hii ni ya kusustain station, hii ni ya kusustain station.
Well, I'll go first.
Uh-huh.
These editors are humans. In fact, if there is the corrupt lot, it is the editors. Sorry. Because at the end of the day, the content that goes on air, it gets not compromised at the presenter's hands. It is in the editor's hands. These guys do the donkey work, and you see when you bring it on my desk, that's why I kill or give that story life. And sometimes, there are a number of people who can relate. I will tell you that I'm the one who makes decisions, and that is not going on air. Then I'll give you the reasons. So yes, editors get compromised too. But personally, I've got my disciples here in the team. I've trained over 200 people in the course of my work. I have never taken a brown envelope. I have never been invited to a politician's place because normally they say that I'm arrogant. I speak my mind. So to avoid mambo mingi, I avoid them. But editors are the worst. In fact, unakuja na story kama yeye ni rafiki ya politician A. Si wewe unaenda nyumbani, you are not running the cast, and then he pulls it out of the running order, utadu? Because tomorrow you won't come and ask me, is it your job? You'd wait for your time to be the editor. That's sometimes how rogue we can be.
Thank you. Okay, John, you have something?
We have had push and pulls in the newsroom
Okay.
on those stories.
Mm-hmm.
How do we know that they got this envelope? When someone is so bitter, red-eyed, why did my story not run? Bwana editor, this one has to run. In fact, the content in this story, people want to hear this. If it is a good story, let me judge. Do not influence it. So that is how we know that it does. But it is not that we are saying they bring that envelope here.
Okay.
Because I know it is a way of also bribing, second-class bribing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I think we will finish with Lydia and Maina, but your question is different. Then please prepare your questions. I think Susanna started looking at me because of time. Lydia, maybe we can help each other in discussing the systems or the strategies you use to ensure that the issue of misinformation, to ensure that you air or produce accurate stories and anything that you produce in your stations.
So number one thing, we look at the story, the content of the story. We look at the content, like reviewing that story. First of all, we review that story. Then after reviewing that story, we can mentor the person who brought the story up.
Okay.
Then we collaborate with the person, with the journalists, and also discuss about the story before we edit the story and air it. So we agree on it first before doing that.
Thank you. Maina, do you have systems put in place in your newsroom to ensure accuracy and avoid misinformation?
One of the things that we do, we have, I'll call it an editorial meeting, so that we can agree the flow of the week and what is trending and what we need to let our people know. And another thing that I would say that is in our system, we are now building and ensuring that all our stories are data oriented in terms of we need to also agree that we have, I'll call them Facebook journalists and newsrooms, and social media newsrooms and journalists, whereby there will be an accident and they will come and say, okay, there's an accident at Limuru Nairobi Road. However, the journalist in our radio needs to go and give data, how many people are involved, how many cars were involved in this accident and all that. So it's also, we are trying to bring data journalism into our newsroom so that we can equip people with the real information, because of course, we cannot control what is happening in the social media space. And also keep reminding our journalists on the editorial policy of our radio station, so that at least whenever they go out to look for stories, they can, their point of reference is our editorial policy that is in place at RFM.
In a scale of 1 to 10, where are you in ensuring that you air accurate stories?
Yeah, I would say we are almost there. We are at 8.
Good number. Okay, thank you so much, guys. Maybe your takeaways. Okay. I hope your questions are ready, but there is someone somewhere who want to rise to the editorial leadership. One word for them. Then twende hivi, then I'll take the questions from the audience.
Yes, I would say this: learn from the ones who are ahead of you.
Okay. Learn from the ones ahead of you, Lydia.
We can see a news editor is a key player in the newsroom. So you need to learn from the one who is there.
Okay.
It starts with you as a person, your integrity. So before you even look at the other person, you could be drinking from a contaminated source. Could be your editor, but I'm crooked. So copying from me ni kuongeza ugonjwa. So it starts with you. An editor must be open-minded. You have to be a reader, and you don't fall for a popular opinion without scrutiny. You are the kind of a person that you go to church, you are a priest, you go to the mosque, you are an imam. You walk into the brothels, you do what they do, because that's how you get the balance. Your job is not to judge, it is to give people what they want. The audience will pick what they need, the rest they leave for you.
Thank you. I think Joseph needs a t-shirt. Iandikwa tu integrity, 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 integrity. Kila mahali. Thank you, Joseph. John?
Yeah, you should be yourself. Number 2, learn to know the extent of pressure. Know where to press which button, because you can press a losing button. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. Susan, I think you can help us. Questions, please. Time imeenda sana. Yeah, can see
Let's
them all.
take 3 very short. So 1, 2, a lady. Let me just be biased. Kidogo, si ndio? 2 gentlemen, 1 lady.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon once again.
Good afternoon.
So I've got 2 questions, so very briefly. Number 1, it's about the youths. Tangu nikapa kutoka asubuhi, I haven't heard anything about the youths, and personally I'm advocating for them. So number 1 ni, youths believe that media is very much biased nowadays. So how do you guys try to maintain the relationship between you editors, the journalists, and the local youths? Because sisi ni grassroot journalists, sindio? So we focus on the local people, right? So how do you guys try to bring the local youths, ama people, back home, ama something like that? And number 2 is, let me paraphrase what the 2 have said. They have said that you learn from us. Imagine people cannot be with you every time wherever you go. So people cannot learn from you unless you tell them. So personally, I want to know, how do you guys try to maintain your relationship with you and the journalist? Kama umesema, this does not go on air. Huyo mse akireact venye ana react, how do you take it into account? How do you go about that situation? Thank you.
I think what we can do, Susan, kila mtu akiuliza swali, wasijibu wote. Mmoja tu anajibu swali la mtu mmoja, mwingine hivyo ina hivyo, so that we can save time. So, who will take those questions? Maina? Yeah? Okay, thank you. Maina will answer your questions.
Yes, I wanted to ask a very simple question to my senior editors. And I'm very much happy. My name is Eric. And I'm very much happy that they have really spoken about the issue of brown envelope. But now, they need to tell us, or I really wanted to understand, where should the weight of the balance stand between your personal opinion and the true representation of what it is as the situation at hand. For example, we are the people who are so close to our community members. Sometimes you could feel very sympathetic to the people, but you need to give the actual representation. So you, as the editor, I've given you a story. Where should the weight of the balance stand?
Joseph will answer that.
Habari zenu.
Salama.
Swali langu ni kwa wahariri ambao wako kule mbele. Labda pengine mmezungumzia kuhusiana na baadhi ya taarifa. Na mimi mwenyewe ni ripota ambaye niko katika nyanja kule mashinani. Swali langu ni hili, labda pengine nimekuja na habari kuhusiana na mtoto fulani ambaye anataka kusaidiwa. Ndio wengi watasema ni advertisement, lakini huyo mtoto pengine anataka kusaidiwa, ulemavu wa pesa, yani in short human interest stories. Alafu wewe muhariri kule unachukua habari ya mwanasiasa fulani unacheza, lakini ule ambaye ni kule mashina kule chini unaua.
Haya, Lydia atajibu hilo.
Habari za mchana. Na swali tatu, najua mtakutanisha. Swali la kwanza nataka kuuliza uhariri. At what point inafika unataka kuua hiyo story ama makala? Ni kipi ambacho na labda iko na kila kitu, content iko sawa mpaka iko ni fact. Kuna hii scenario, have you ever found yourself in this scenario whereby kila kitu iko sawa lakini you received a call, hiyo story send on air, wewe kama labda hiyo story inahusiana na mwanasiasa fulani, hii story send on air, wewe kama editor kila kitu iko ready, how did you handle it? Nikimalizia nataka kuzungumzia ama kuuliza kuhusiana na source protection. Wakati makala imefanyika, alafu kuna huyu ambaye amekutolea hii story ama ndo amekupatia facts na evidence, kuna point anasema ni naogopa, lakini nitakwambia naogopa msije ikajulikana mimi nitauliwa kwa sababu ya security yake. Je, huwa mnafuatilia kuhakikisha kwamba security yake iko sawa? Kwa sababu utaweza pata kuna kidudu watu within the radio watafuata hivi wajue ni nani, waende watoboe siri. Ni hayo.
They can respond to those questions.
All right. Is everything okay? Nasikia mamas. Yeah?
No.
Okay, ya mwisho.
To our editors, I've heard that most of you are holding managerial positions. Since you're talking about viability and sustainability, I'd want to know, practically, what are you doing at the moment to ensure that your radio stations outlive you? God forbid if you don't make it to Nairobi or to your stations tomorrow, what have you done? What systems are in place in your stations to ensure that your stations outlive you?
All right. I think we can start with Maina. Ulikuwa na swali la the first person. Please go ahead.
A question from Turkana.
Okay, question.
Mumesema hezi toka Turkana kuje Mombasa na swali ende hivyo.
Sawa.
Asante. Jina langu ni Steve Gishea. My question to you editors. How do you handle journalists in your team who repeatedly violate ethical standard? Remember, we come from community radio station. Number two, how do you decide which story deserves national attention and which one does not? Thank you.
Asante sana. Hayo ni maswali kutoka Turkana. Maina, tuanze na wewe. Maybe for the questions zenye we've not allocated anyone, maybe mtu tu anaweza gusia bado. You can answer the question.
Okay, so thank you. I'll start with my younger brother's question. He was talking about youth and biasness. And at one point I was confused whether you're talking about this conference or generally in our radio stations. But I will answer depending on our radio station. One of the things that I would really highly recommend, even where I offer leadership, is that we need to be mentors to our younger brothers and sisters, and really encourage even the people who are holding other managerial positions in our different radio stations to really, sorry, to really develop a mentor-mentee kind of relationship, whereby we are mentoring our younger people who are coming or new people who are coming to our radio stations. And I love saying that in the next 5 years, you don't know whether you'll be there. So as a way of also what she has said of our stations, our positions outliving us, is to mentor people. The other thing is our programming. If we can program or have programming that are supporting young people huko mtaani, it will be very easy to have these young people loving our radio stations, other than having having programs that are only targeting, people who are older or farmers alone. So I believe, and that's my belief, that every radio station has a program targeting young people in the community. If you're working with, for example, if you have new interns, I think as we Africans, we have a problem with titles, because it doesn't make sense to be called a station manager, because it's just a title. So I really encourage other managers to have an open door policy. Let those people who are coming in as interns really appreciate who you are, first as a human being, and then secondly, now you accept that you are the one who's offering leadership without forcing it. Let them see that you're offering leadership, and you don't need to keep reminding them that they're station manager. Let it flow, I think, and because they are young people, they'll be endeared to you. Then also allow them to learn, allow them to ask questions, and please be as comfortable as possible with them. One thing that I encourage my colleagues at RFM is we focus more on local news. Because if, for example, when Raila died, it was all of us. So probably RFM was just to give more information. Otherwise, they were getting more information from other people. Lastly, the issue of editors, as you're asking, you come with a story and you're trying to tell you it's not going to air. I think there's power in collecting with love, not collecting from a point of power. You collect with love, that I will not play this story because of this and this. Lastly, will our positions or will our radio stations outlive us? I believe, especially the four of us being here, and our stations are learning as we are here, means a lot. Probably the four of us have offered the correct leadership.
Thank you, Maina.
Okay, thank you. I would like to answer the question that they asked about bringing a story about a child, and then you neglect that story, and then you air the story about the politics. Number one thing, I'll look at the story. First of all, you look at the quality of the content. Then you look at the editors and journalists learn from each other. We learn from each other, and then you look at the positive work environment. We also look at the work of the positive work environment. Then I will answer also the question on how to handle journalists who have violated the standards of media. Number one, I will identify the issue. You define the violation and gather the evidence. You need to gather the evidence, because someone might report someone has done this, and then you don't have the clear evidence. So, number one, I look at identify the issue, and then review the policy. If the person has really checked I'll check if the journalist has been informed about the standard and the policies, and then also talk with the journalist who has violated. Talk to the journalist, discuss the issue with the journalist. I need to discuss that issue with the journalist who has violated the standard. Then I will explain, you clarify how the violation might affect the station. That's what I'll do and then I will also give a verbal warning. I'll warn the journalist about what he has done.
Okay, thank you so much, Lydia. Sorry. Please, let's hurry up a bit.
My answer to Eric on balance between opinion and facts. This job has got no room for emotions. I know it is as brutal as it is, but this job, there is no room for emotions. There is a story that we've been informed or used in training as journalists. There is a journalist who was on air, running the 9 p.m. prime time news. The husband died in an accident. The news is streaming in. Iko katikati unaonanga breaking news imekatika tu hivi. Akaangalia registration ya gari ni bwanake. She went ahead and completed the cast. Are you answered? Bwanake. She went ahead and completed the cast. Na ni mrembo, so you can imagine amefanya makeup and all that. It's not about not being human. If you bring emotions in this job, utaenda Turkana, you see what is happening there, you won't come home. I've been in instances whereby people ask me if I would save one child. If one child is not going to get the story to the world, I'll let them die. And then I'll save the thousands, because sometimes you send that one single cast out there, the help that will come is going to save more people. You struggle with this one, you are both going to die without the information getting out there in good time. It has got no room for emotions. I'm sorry. So the same goes to somebody who asked about the child who is sick, and then we take the politicians. Let us look at the impact and responsibility. This is one child. I'm not dismissing that, but this is one child. The politician, let's say it is the president or the governor. This is somebody who is responsible for millions of people. One word, the whole of your community becomes a ghost town because people are fighting. So will you talk about the child, or are you going to focus on what he says? That gives you an answer. So going into the next question that had not been allocated, editors, as an editor, before you even come up with the programming, a proper person would do what we always call the audience research. And that one is reviewed from time to time, sometimes annually, sometimes quarterly, depending on what you do. If you do that properly, all the questions arising from the space of the youth to the child, it will have a place in your cast. Because now you're not going to sit down there and pushing your opinion on them. Get a team of experts, let them do the audience research, get the feedback, program using that feedback. You'd never miss it, and with that one, even if you're not there, 10 years, as long as they keep on doing that one, that radio will always be relevant at every given time. Thank you.
We are responsible for your security. However much we are tough, we ensure you are safe. The story we allocate, we know that you can do it. So how do we follow up on the source that you've given us? At some point, we even are not interested in the source. We're interested in the story. But we would want not to be interested because we want your source to be protected. It should remain with you. The other point I want to mention is my brother who was asking about, my sister. We need to nurture. Actually, we've nurtured. I've had a friend here say that there are over 20 that are in different media houses that are enjoying the fruits of his hands. It is never easy. Some of us who are seated here, we remain in a particular station to have you go to another level of life. If anybody from RMS could be seated in this forum, we would be talking something different, because some of us are in books of nurturing, holding hands, and ensuring that someone somewhere, from the point of attachment, internship, to securing a job because they were doing something good. So some of us who are seated here today, someone is sitting in our position as we are speaking and doing the right thing. That is how we nurture you. But it is not like, I'll give you this position. It is like, you be doing this, and this is what is supposed to be done. That is how we nurture. It is not nakwambia, ukifanya hii itakuwa hivi na next year utakuwa editor. That is not what we do. We tell you do this, the outcome you'll see it yourself. As I conclude, for the youth, in fact, there is a space that has shown in the media for the youth. They are not doing the right thing. I'm sorry to say that. They are not doing the right thing. Journalism is about the right thing and the right time. Do the right thing, the right time. So don't mix work and being a youth. I did it because I'm a youth. You'll not find yourself in the media space. So do the right thing. Avoid that thinking that I'm a youth. I'm doing it because I'm a youth. I should be given this space because I'm a youth. It is not about journalism. It is about what you do, and do it to your best. Thank you.
Thank you so much, John. Please let's clap for my panel. That was amazing. Tusimame. Tusimame, and in less than a minute, if you have anything to say to the journalist, to maybe the government official, whoever you want to talk to. Mimi nakupea tu sekunde mbili peke yake. Mbili peke yake.
She's lying. You can't take 2 seconds. Amigo, can you? Anyway, my point is,
Please do.
as journalists, as the media people, you are the future. We've got a big responsibility on our shoulders. Our job sometimes is to tell the world what is going on. How they think about it, that's their business. Don't set the wrong agenda. Sijui kama tunaelewana, that's where we miss it. Our job is to set the agenda. Agenda setting role of the media, that's your core duty. Ensure you set the right one, because when you set the wrong one, you go back home, you find it burning. You come back here, we can't even talk to each other. If you set the right agenda, however they think about it, that's not our problem, but ensure it is the right agenda.
Thank you, Joseph. Please march to your seat like the champion you are. Ahead.
To all the media practitioners and the journalists in the house, your network is your net worth. Thank you.
Thank you so much, John. Lydia, thank you so much, John.
For me, I'll say, do the right thing always.
Asante sana. Maina?
Mine is to Mr. Mutesi. Is he Mr. Mutesi? Sorry. Studio Mashinani idea is amazing, but I wish you would invite us through AGJK so that the mapping can be done the right way, because we are experiencing a Studio Mashinani just behind my community radio station. So we have considered that as a duplication of government resources. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Sir, have you heard? Asante sana. The photographer says we should have a group photo. Okay. Paneli yangu mko wapi? Nabidi tu mkuje. That was amazing, guys. Please let's clap for the panel. Asanteni sana.
Asanteni sana. Thank you very much. Wamesmile. Hakuna venye AI ingemcrop imweke hapa ndani. Let's give them a round of applause as they get to sit. I'd like us to be upstanding. Let's stand. I know that session was a bit intense, ndio? Mabosi walikuwa hapa mbele. Mnasikia ni kama mnataka kurusha fire, but pia mnacheza chini. Kwanza the first assignment, The first assignment. Sijui kama mliwarate ndio mshahara isikate. Ama kila kitu iko sawa? So let's be upstanding. Let's all be upstanding. Nimeona watu wengine wana doze off. So just stretch a little bit. Stretch a little bit. So this is what we will do. Sitawachosha sana. So we will do 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now move mwili. 1, 2, 3. Then 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1. Are we together? So let's do a trial. We start in 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. One. Right, let's be seated. So for this other session, it will be short, not as long as this one. And we'll be having Bosco from AGJK, who will be moderating this session, and the conversation will be on trust and transparency in local reporting. Tupigie Bosco makofi anapokuja. DJ uko na ile ngoma ya nyumbani? Bosco anapokuja. Yesu mpatie ile ngoma yake. Tulia. Bosco tulia tukupange. Amechelewa? Very nice. Aya, karibu sana.
Hello. Tuko sawa? Tuko sawa kabisa? So I really want this session to be really short, and it's about trust and transparency. Nimesikia mambo ya brown envelope imetajwa hapa. Wangapi hapa washaipewa na wakakataa? Ukapewa brown envelope na ukakataa. Ukasema mheshimiwa, hii ripoti yako itafika bila hiyo bahasha. Wangapi? Wacha wasimame kwanza. Nataka kusikia kutoka kwao. Jamani, wacha tusimame. Wangapi? Tusimame. Isaac simama, Isaac. John simama. Wairimu simama. Stella kaa. Hatuko tunasema kila mtu simame. Nani mwingine? Okay, tusidanganye kwa sababu siku za mwisho zinakaribia. Na Mungu ako tayari sana kutuhukumu. So Isaac, briefly, give us the instance na kwa nini ulikataa? Kwa nini ulikataa hiyo tu?
Nilikataa juu manake nilifaa ni danganye na singekubali kudanganya, kwa kuwa nilikuwa nimefanya makala yaliyotangulia ambaye alifichua uovu uliokuwepo, na hivyo walihitaji sasa tufanye kwamba limetendeka licha ya kwamba halikuwa limetendeka. Hivyo iwapo ningefanya walichokuwa wanakihitaji, kuanzia mimi na wao tungekuwa maadui wa wananchi, na sikutaka hilo, ndiposa nikakataa.
Tumpigie makofi jameni. Najua kuna wale tuko hapa tulipewa brown envelope turipoti ambayo hayakutendeka, tuseme yalitendeka na tukachukua, si ndio? Sitaomba tuinue mkono kwa sababu John, niambie.
Many times when we take these things, you look at the environment around and the security. Yes, if you are taking it, you have to deliver. Wewe utakuwa mfukoni pake. You'll be their puppet. Whenever they press you, you'll be backing. So from that end, I said no. Because I lead a number. So if they give me the brown one, they assume everyone behind me, because I'm vocal maybe from where I come from, will be singing their song. So I had to say no, nikakatiza hiyo kasumba ya pesa ya bure.
And finally, Wairimu.
Thank you, Bosco. I think that's a very important topic. I think for me it was, umeuliza nini? Kwanza swali ni? Najua, lakini umeuliza kwa nini si kuchukua ama the reason. Huku niuliza ilikuwa dongapi ama. Okay. For me, I didn't take because ilikuwa security. For Gen Zs who are here, so that was in 2007 during the post-electoral violence in the country, and I was a producer for CNN. And as you know, then there were opposing sides, like really, really tough. And I was approached by a group of security people that offered cash opportunity that I give them information that CNN was reporting and was intending to report. So I refused because I felt the security of my team was in trouble, and my security as well, and the security of the entire country. Yeah.
Wow, tumpigie makofi. Wale ambao tulichukua sema hi. Hii yote ni corruption. So to help us delve into this topic, allow me to welcome on stage and as part of my panelists, of course, our chief guest today, Mr. Temesi. Tumpigie makofi jameni. Asante sana. Karibu, Mr. Temesi. Also joining Mr. Temesi is Samudi from the Media Council of Kenya. Tumpigie makofi jameni. Na unajua sasa hii yote ni kama ni serikali eh? So we want to look at how from the government perspective how we can improve trust and transparency, of course in local reporting. Lakini wengine wataniambia waajiri wao ndio watatupatia bahasha, si ndio? Eh? Si ama si wao? Ni wao, si ndio? Anyway, so karibuni sana. Wapi microphone nyingine jamani? Nice. Okay, sawa. First of all, karibuni sana to this session. I think this is a very, very important and key session for us all, especially for us who are community journalists. Na sasa hivi it's quite sensitive because we are headed to a very, very critical moment, which is of course the electioneering period. Na tunajua electioneering period, it's quite tough in terms of security wise, not only for the journalists but also kwa wananchi. Lakini swali langu la kwanza litakuendea Mudi. How can community journalists build and maintain trust with audiences who feel neglected by mainstream media? How can we ensure that pale mtaani, pale ambapo tunaripotia, pale ambapo labda kama Mkuru kwa Ruben, pale utapata Ruben FM. How can Ruben FM ensure that trust is built between them and the community, na audience yao ina uhakika na inawaamini na inaamini kwamba wako pale kuangazia masuala ambao wakazi wale wanapitia kila siku?
Okay, asante kwa swali hilo. Labda kwanza nijibu hilo swali. There's a report we released 2 weeks ago, State of the Media Survey. I don't know how many of you are able to see it, to go through. I'm seeing very few hands. So, hiyo report kwa ufupi ilisema trust in media bado iko tena sana, lakini cha kupendeza zaidi ni kuwa trust imezidi sana, and the outlets that zinaangaliwa sana na zinaangaziwa sana ni social media. Na ukiangalia kazi ya community na social media, mnaweka kazi yenu huko sana. Kwa hivyo jambo la kwanza, I know there's a lot that you can do when it comes to just highlighting the issues. I am happy here that we have community media represented, and that they are the ones, Dio Radio, they are the ones that are helping you with the broadcasting and everything that is happening here, photography and all that. So it means there's a space and there's a role that they play a lot. Zamani, we used to trust a lot on legacy media.
Yeah.
I worked for legacy media back in the day. But when you compare what used to happen then, in fact, the fact that you had editors seated here could not have happened back then. You could not even ask your editors questions, right? For those, okay, for the few who might have had those stories, I know most of you are not there, but wakati tukistretch, nimesikia mimi yangu kifanya ka nyuma, majenzi pia nimesikia kifanya inafanya ka, so nikasema okay, tuko sawa. Anyway, to answer your question, trust in community media is something that is currently happening because these are people who live with you. They are people that are in the same community that you are. First of all, they see you wanasema si yule mwandishi ndio yule pale anafanya ile radio ama anafanya ile platform fulani.
Yeah.
So these are people you relate with, so they know you. So that is a plus for you. And then again, there's the element of you cover the local content for them. Kila ambacho inafanyika kwenye hiyo community is what they relate with, what they can really check. Wanasema by the way, tulisikia hii story mali fulani. Na hii ni kitu ambayo inafanyika hapo pale wake. So there's a lot that you can do as community media just to ensure kuwa your work is recognized and appreciated in the community. I think I'll share some more when we go on.
Wow.
You are told there's very few time.
I think just to pass, as you pass the mic to Mr. Temesi, probably along with that question is as a ministry, do you think that community media holds the power that still was holding many years back? And how do you think improving the relationship between the community and of course the audiences will really help in ensuring that the right messages reach the audience and the targeted people in this case?
Thank you very much, Bosco. That's a very interesting question because that's the conversation we're having as government. Remember, there's the issue of trust deficit that almost banned the country.
Yeah.
But I think before I respond to that, there's a young man who said that we don't think about the youth anymore. And I reflected back. I just want to respond to that, then come back to your question.
Okay.
When I was, now I'm an old man, I'm not a youth anymore. But when I was a young person growing up in the streets of Nairobi, I was very curious. And I think I traveled more out of the country as a young man than I can travel now because of the opportunities that are available online for young people. The world tends to favor people who are under 35. And if you look, I don't know how much time nowadays young people spend online, but during our time when internet was fresh and exciting, we were only looking for opportunities. And I'll tell you this story to inspire the young people in the house. I see a lot of you are below 40. I think I made my first 100,000 online. There's something used to call Youth Service America. You can still check it out. They do community projects. You would register one pager and they send you money to do a community project. So check out Youth Service America. You'll always find some opportunities there. I also traveled to Sweden and stayed there for 6 months, earning money, studying road safety. Can you imagine? Road safety. The Flemish government was paying for it. So if you have somewhere, you can write VLIROUS, VLIROUS. I think now the VLIROUS. You can just Google. I think they do scholarships, yeah, and travel grants and all sorts of things. And then you can also try out Swedish Institute. It's a Sweden thing. They do a lot of those things. Those are just 3 places that you can go, get opportunities, get to travel, enjoy your youth as you build your career. Sawa sawa. Let your life not just be boring. At least I didn't have a boring youth. I also know of colleagues, 2 of my university mates, they just left the country, packed their bags, went to Africa's poorest countries called Malawi, and they set up a radio station. And they made their money. I'm told now they live in South Africa. Anyway, look out for these opportunities, yeah? Look out for these opportunities. For the media managers, I needed to share this before I respond to that question. Programs. Nation has perfected this. A lot of the national reporters you see are on programs. They are not on your everyday payroll, especially now that we are having problems. See where there's money, prime your media. If it's climate change, if it's road safety, if you are at the coast and the issue is about mangroves, create programs around it, get money, move your people to the programs, you know. So that's it. That's the reality of life. So back to your question. The question was about community media. You know when the president accused us, those of us who work in government for, and rightfully so, said that we are struggling to communicate because there's a trust deficit between government and the citizenry. We've been cracking our heads, asking ourselves, how do we need to go about it? Who is trusted? And one of the people that come out is radio, community radio especially, because you have sustained audiences. Even in the middle of all this chaos, if you look at the numbers, you still have your own conclaves, enclaves, where you control quite a bit of audience. And so we are thinking, and we are convinced that in the spirit of the bottom up, that unlike in the past when agenda setting was made in Nairobi and everybody else, remember when it was a multi-step flow. So an idea comes from Nairobi and then it flows all the way through the provincial administration to the chiefs and everyone like that. I think that model has been disconfigured. So now we are thinking on how we are able to generate narratives from the bottom. So if it's a housing project, for instance, what are people in Kibra saying? What are people in Turkana saying about climate change and the interventions we're putting in as government? What are the people that are affected by a road, by a dam? People that live around Fuake Dam, for instance. What are they saying about that project? Those people, increasingly, they are more believable than the Minister for Roads. Okay? They are more believable than the government spokesperson. So we are trying to turn around the narrative such that the people, the beneficiaries, speak through the media they trust. And the media they trust is mostly community media. So you have a critical role to play. You have a critical role to play. And so I think as government, we have a responsibility to make sure that you are equally thriving. Because as the structures are unbundled and become more important, so let's try to localize these conversations. I think I've made some sense.
Yes, 100%, 100%. And I think my next question, of course, to the Media Council, how is the Media Council working to strengthen public trust, especially in local journalism? And in local journalism, I mean pale mashinani. How are we really looking at strengthening public trust in local journalism?
Maybe to pick up from what he said, there's a lot that happens at the grassroots level, and it depends on how information is, first of all, received by that journalist at the grassroots level. So how they receive the information will help them package it for their audiences.
Yeah.
So if they get it wrong, the audiences will definitely be confused, or they will not even get the message at all. So one of the ways we ensure that journalists at the grassroots level are able to just do their work in a more conducive environment is through capacity building.
Yes.
We do a lot of trainings at the grassroots level. The most fortunate bit is that we have regional offices in under Media Council structure. So we have an office in Mombasa that covers the whole of Coast region. We have an office in Kisumu that covers Kisumu region, including Kisii and Western.
Yeah.
And we have an office in Meru that covers the larger Meru region, and then an office in Nakuru. So that is one of the ways we tried to devolve services. So it means if a journalist has an issue, let's say there are issues to do with, it's a complaint. We have the Complaints Commission. Unfortunately, the way it has been all along is that journalists don't report their cases when they've been attacked outside there. But the Complaint Commission mechanism is supposed to work even for the journalists themselves. So that if you're out there in the field na labda umevunjiwa kamera ama umepigwa ukaumizwa, you can seek redress from the Complaints Commission, so that it's not only them, like our sources always complaining and saying this journalist has misreported, this journalist has done what. So there's that avenue that we have that we can also use, we can also utilize. And then we also ensure that we have, at the regional level, I know at times there are no media houses per se, like in this region. There was one station that was really helpful when it came to just journalists operating from the field, and then they come to that place and they work from there. And then 2 years ago, all of a sudden, wakafunga. So what did that mean? It meant these journalists who were operating from there could not have a place to work from.
Yeah.
So we came up with the media hubs. in Mombasa region, we have a media hub in Malindi, and we have another media hub in Mombasa.
Yeah.
So if you're a journalist in the field and you don't have a place to operate from, we give you that space. We have a studio. It is fully equipped. It has podcasting equipment. It has some few computers. We are really trying to smile at Kinatemesi to give us some more, because you see, they're never enough. Huh? There's Wi-Fi. So those are the opportunities that we just give them. And then the element of the press club, I have to mention that as well. We have regions that have press clubs. So these press clubs, how they operate, they come together, and these are journalists. So they can decide, this is what we want to do. And Media Council will come in to help them. We can give them like a conditional grant to just do their own things. At times, unajua wakati mwingine maybe mfuko iko mbaya sana. So when you give them their money, we don't like dictate how they use their money. It's them to decide whether they want to buy Wi-Fi, they want to get some airtime for themselves, they want to go for lunch. They decide on their own what they want to do. And for the press clubs, and especially those that came on board the first financial year that we launched them, all of them have websites that are hosted by Media Council. So you get a journalist that does produce stories, but they don't have where to take the stories. So they can post the stories on the website. So that is part of media viability and media sustainability. So when you post there, you can monetize your content depending on the platforms you're using and depending on how you want to generate your content. So that is the space that basically we deal with and try to help the journalists, because we understand, again, they have to ensure that when they are producing content, it is something that has context.
Yeah.
Because you can go somewhere, unapata story. Let's say it's this community. By the way, in the morning when I came and then I left, tumeenda Mavueni. Hivi mimi nina nyota, muulize Serem pale. Nina nyota. So we went to Mavueni, and what is happening there, Pastor Ezekiel, you got it. Pastor Ezekiel has, he has a church. But what we don't know as journalists, he's setting up a state-of-the-art studio. Not studios, studios. I'll share the photos with Beru. So there's a director in charge, there's a station manager in charge, and then they have a TV station and they have a radio station. Actually, there are 4. So how it works, this one's, it's a place whereby you just go, you cannot even access it hivi mwananchi wa kawaida, lazima uende na security. Or you must be cleared first to access the place. So they have already come up with an editorial team. And for him, he says, I don't want to look at my station as just issues to do with religion. Because I am in the community, I want to understand if they want to access education, how do they get that information? If they want to access health, how do they get that information? So for him, it's more of an approach that is covering the whole community, and which is something I've really liked. So if you want to know more about Nyota tafadhali, you can see me kando, because I'm sure they are now hiring. So if you're interested to get a job, those sites you can just find out more. Thank you.
Wow, asante sana. Nadhani pia mimi nitahamia kule kwa Nyota So to Mr. Temesi, I'm looking at from a government perspective, we have issues to do with the regulation that probably either intentionally or unintentionally tend to limit press of freedom. I think they tend to limit the press freedom, and I think sometime during the Gen Z maandamano, some of these instances were happening. But we are looking at the context of now community media. How does now the ministry ensure that these regulations at least do not affect these community media outlets that really community members depend on for information every time?
I think the regulatory environment for the sector is a shifting target, because you notice that the act, the Mother Act, the Kicker Act, for instance, and has been here for a while, I think since 2016. Between 2016 and today, there's been a lot of movement, okay? And that's why I said in the morning that part of the review that is ongoing for both the Kicker and the MCK Act is, first of all, to streamline mandates between the two institutions. They've also had their own struggles, but most importantly is to align the law with the changes. Someone was talking about licensing requirements, for instance. You know, the current licensing regime was put in place when we still have terrestrial, okay? Today, we have more online presence than there is terrestrial, including those of us that work in the sector. You know, people will tell you, I don't know when is the last time I watched TV, or I no longer subscribe to pay TV or that kind of thing. So it tells you that, you know, the cheese has moved. The shift has already happened. So we are playing catch up as government to try and bring ourselves, you know, bring regulations to where the industry is. But the industry long bolted. So, so when you see overreaches, sometimes because of the policy weaknesses, you know, and that is why it's very rare for us as government. You know, sometimes we, for example, we lose a lot of cases, okay? Because you take us to court and then we are based on a very old regulation and the judges look at it and say, man, we need to play catch up. So the review that is currently ongoing, including for the regulations, the KICA regulations, is an exercise that you guys must be interested in. Please take time, make sure that all these excellent ideas that you have are included, including regulations for online broadcasting, which is a fairly new area for us. But if you look at the laws, it is not regulated. Sometimes, you know, government action is just meant to steady the ship, okay? So sometimes they do it as a deterrence. And really, from where I sit and for the many years I've worked in government, I don't think the Kenyan government is interested in you know, stopping media and journalists from doing their job. Really, if you look around this region, for instance, and you've seen what has happened with the Majirani and what's happening across this continent, you can tell that I think we enjoy our freedoms. The freedom of the press is firmly secured in this country, and I think with time it will continue expanding. So let's stay positive, let's support the processes that are ongoing, where there's an overreach, as MCK is saying, please make sure that it is reported so that arbitration is done, and where compensation is needed, people will be compensated, and we move on as an industry.
Wow, thank you, thank you. And I think when we speak about regulation, we also are speaking to accreditation, and that's where now I want to bring you on board. How important is accreditation, and what is the role of press accreditation and also professional training in improving the trust in local media ecosystems? And I'm really sure we have a few of community journalists who are really accredited. And to add on that question, what would you tell them in terms of now moving forward and try being accredited?
Let me just take you back to the issue of regulation, because I think it also touches us. Huh?
Yep.
If there's an industry that is regulated more than it's supposed to be, I think it's media. Media is over-regulated. You have a lot of laws that they are disjointed. Everything is just all over. He's mentioned about the KICA Act. That one actually is supposed to be known by journalists. We had the Media Council Act as well. And even as recent as the other day, we were reviewing our code. So we have a new code of conduct for the practice of for the practice of journalism. I don't know how many of you have just seen the new code. Tafadhali usitoke nje na code ya kitambo. I would have come with the pieces. I think I'll send them over tomorrow. We have a revised code of conduct. Why is that so? Because the Kenya Union of Journalists went to court. Let me just give some background. Went to court and challenged the mandate of the Communications Authority and Media Council. So Media Council, at the end of the day, we were given the duty to ensure that we deal with issues, content production. So on content, what did it mean? It meant there are some elements that were in the code of conduct that were not being covered in the code. They were missing. So one of them was the issue of child protection. It was not so clear. The other one was the issue of women and maybe people living with disability, the marginalized groups. And then the elephant in the house has always been gambling. Mnaamka asubuhi mnadanganya wasikilizaji in the morning, you tell them you'll get money. By the end of the day, we mwenyewe maybe una 20 bob in your pockets and you are telling them you'll give them 100,000 Kenya shillings at the end of the day. So we want to streamline and ensure, in as much as gambling is a business, how is it supposed to be conducted in the stations? And then the most important thing is AI and issues to do with user-generated content as well. Because when this code was being put in place, we didn't have technology like AI. When some of us were working in the newsroom back in the day, we were depending on other forms of, actually, tulikuwa tunatumia akili sana. So saizi when AI comes in, it is just easy for a journalist to decide to just key in some few words and take that information and do it as a story. You saw what was happening the last couple of days with a few media houses that we have around, and one of them did that thing, and unfortunately when editing they didn't remove, so there was a story about Mama Suluhu and AI just and ChatGPT just telling them what else they require. Chat, by the way, is normally very friendly. You can even ask it if it has a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and if you want a girlfriend, it will still respond to you. It gives you all kinds of answers. Yeah. So one of the areas we are looking at very deeply now is AI and the use of AI in the newsrooms. Because in as much as technology is here with us, how do we ensure that we don't abuse technology? Yeah. How do we ensure that we use AI responsibly? So those are the areas that we are looking at. Because in the survey that I was talking about, the report, the State of the Media report that I started with, one thing was very dominant. Yakuwa, audience listenership is very high in some regions. I know you can guess the regions. Who can guess? Audience listenership. Watu wa kusikiza radio na watu wa kuwa social media iko juu sana mahali fulani. Exactly. Who works for a radio station in Western? Yeah? Waingo, watu waingo wako wapi wenzangu? Tea lovers like myself. And I'm never shy. So no one is from Western here. So actually...
There must be someone from Bungoma. Yeah.
So radio listenership is the highest in those regions, Western and Nyanza. Because lazima tutume salamu, right? Yeah. But now when you go back home, our parents cannot understand some of the basic things, like you can key in something and then it just tells you everything. So when it comes to that, how do we now ensure that our audiences are also informed on what we do? Let me go to accreditation. Yeah. On accreditation, let me just inform you as well that we've already opened the portal. So if you go online, because nowadays mambo vile inakaa ni mambo digital. Remember you mentioned about the move. And I remember the advert ya tumetoka analog to digital, those who are there. So the move already happened, and because of the system and the e-citizen, you register, you renew online. If you're a first timer, you also go online. If you work for a media station already, they can give you a letter for you to just apply online. You don't need to go to our offices. You can only come maybe to collect your card, because the card is also generated online and you can pick it. So the portal is already open. And if you apply now, you can get for, it expires 2020, next year is 2026, eh? Yeah. Yes, 2026, December. So there's no harm. The problem that happens is when journalists realize, and this is now one of the benefits of the card, there is a grant somewhere, or there's an award being given somewhere, and the requirement is that you must have an MCK accredited, you must be MCK accredited. That is when now they rush to get the card. And imagine like the by-elections we had one in Magarini. So we had journalists as late as October, November applying for that card. Imagine, na waandishi vile tunasemekana sisi ni wagumu. November, December, 1200 yako imeenda hivyo, boss. Why don't you just pay in January so that it can serve you the whole of that year? I'll give you a short story. Last month we had 2 cases involving journalists and the civil society. So one was during that time we had elections in Tanzania. And then some of our journalists decided they are joining the civil society to cross over on a fact-finding mission as per what the civil society told them. So this journalist, unfortunately, was not very fast in his thinking. So when watu wa Samia walikuja, he was not able to run away. So the civil society guys that took him there, left him there. So this guy was arrested. When he was arrested, now we start our reke, just finding out what happened, why was he arrested, he's still in, what happened to his equipment, if there's anything that they did to him. By then, because it's at the Lunga Lunga border, by the time we are finding all that information, the civil society people washatoroka, washafika mpaka feri, wamevuka wamerudi Mombasa. So now it's our problem as Media Council to try and help these journalists. And then after we did all the work with Serem, we seated here, my colleague. I love stories, but this one is a very true story, very accurate, he can reconfirm. This journalist was not accredited. The last time he accredited was in 2020, was it 2021? 2022. So imagine all these years, he's just been operating the way he's operating. So it became very hard for us to continue maybe intervening or creating something for him or just trying to help him. Because already by the time he was arrested, there was that mental trauma he had undergone. And because Sulu was, his people were killing people the other side, you are not even sure if he would come back safe. So that is one. We had another case at Marereni Malindi Highway, the road that goes to Lamu, same case. But at least for these ones, they are accredited. So when you have that accreditation card, one, it helps you to access places that might be difficult to access. Two, you look like a professional. Imagine going somewhere and we have the quacks that are all over. And by the way, the issue of quacks, it's a responsibility not only for the Media Council, but the whole industry. Because you are operating at the community level, you know the other journalists who operate with you. If you see someone who is not a journalist, who is behaving like a quack, okay, not behaving, and you know this person is not a journalist, you have a right to report that person. We also tell our sources, if you go to the, you have an event and maybe someone comes and they don't have a card, an MCK card, you have a right to ask why. We have cases whereby someone produces a card and the card is a fake. So 2 years ago, we tried to put enhanced features on our card so that someone cannot duplicate, someone cannot have something that is not Media Council accreditation. So those are some of the areas. And then again, the issue I've talked about the grants and the awards that come when you have that one. Even in court, for the court reporters who go to court, when you look at their guidelines, they came up with a code of conduct for them for court reporting that affects you as well. So one of their requirements is that you must have MCK accreditation for you to be able to access courts. And it happens a lot, and so many other things. So it's important to just have that document for you to be able to align and to be compliant. It can save you. Wajua tunasema at times unapata mwandishi ameenda kwa field and then ako ile kifua. Kwani unijui mimi ni nani? Mimi ni Temesi, unijui mimi ni Temesi? Ujeni nisikia kwa radio, ujeni ona kwa TV, So someone can be like that because they think they're already very famous kule nje, yet they are not even accredited. And you can get arrested because you just assume that people know you. So it's very important to have that document.
Wow, thank you. And as we wind up, I think still on the accreditation issue, still to you, Moody, the accreditation issue. I know we are at very tough economic times, and I think the annual subscription is around 2,000. Is there probably a friendly package that we could do? I think I'm speaking for that table. Is there a friendly package that probably a subsidized amount that we could do, especially for grassroots journalists? Because at the grassroots level, pesa mashinani hakuna, si ndio? So raising that 2,000 bob is quite hectic. Sometimes you compromise. You choose not to eat to pay for the accreditation, or even now go a whole year without paying for the accreditation. What would you say to that?
Okay, that one is a political question because you know it cannot be subsidized further than that. You have bodies like LSK, they pay a lot of money just for membership. If you are a student, you're lucky, you pay only 300 bob. But if you're already working huku nje, unajitegemea, unalipa ushuru, actually it's 2,000, and then because the government decided it has to go through its citizen, you have to add the 50 bob. So I am trying to break down this math. Hapa najua mjakaa bure, si ndio? Hapa mtotoka na kakitu ka Christmas. Let's say you save 500 from this engagement, right? Yeah, because it's not for free. And then umeenda uko nje, you are covering a source, and then this source is not bribing you, because we talked about the brown envelope as well. It's not the brown envelope, it's just appreciating your work, which is very much in order. This source gives you around another 5K. You take another 500. Then again, kwa hizi chama za December, wamama wenye wako hapa kwa nyumba, and ladies, they know these things, you get another 500, una save. By the time it gets to January, you have your 2,000 bob.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is the only way I can tell you. Again, if you are lucky enough, your organization can be the one paying for you. So it happens as group accreditation. So your organization, if it's kind enough, they can decide wacha tuwalipie, then you do something that is called group accreditation. But kusubsidize beyond hapo inaweza kuwa kidogo ngumu. Pole.
Anyway, wamesikia. So lastly, Mr. Tebese, as we wind up, how can community media work closely with the government? At least, especially the government communication structures, without compromising on editorial independence. For example, there is a story that government wants us to cover, but again, when we want to look at it keenly, does not favor the government if we really dig deep into that story. How now can, of course, community media work closely with the government communication structures without compromising editorial independence?
I think we all know we are always on the beat, and you know that government is the biggest source. I think in most instances, government officials make the best sources. So for us in government, I think we just encourage you to work with government. Wherever you are, cultivate a good working relationship with the people in charge, because they will always give you sources. And they'll give you very interesting stories. By the way, you know, government have now become a proper civil servant. Civil servants know many things. But once they trust you, they will give you the stories and even tell you who is stealing what where, but you don't quote them, isn't it? So you guys know your sources, isn't it? Sometimes we do it because we also fed up, okay? Because we are Kenyans first. So cultivate a good relationship, working relationship with the people you work with in your area. Number two, we, as part of the recalibration that we are happening at the ministry, we are trying to encourage senior government officials whenever they come to the field to work with local media, with community radio. And we are trying to encourage them to go to radio and speak about government policies, government projects, because sometimes you also need these sources. You need them to come to your station, sometimes at no cost, okay? When I worked for President Kenyatta, our policy was when we go to a region, Kanzi and I would come early, we would appear on show in the morning, speak about the president's diary, and so that everybody else knows what the president is doing in that region. It's a model that you're trying to sell to everyone in government, such that if it's blue economy, CS or PS coming to the coast, they have radio engagements. And that is why we're trying to reconfigure KNF, for instance, you know, to be able to anchor this arrangement within the regions, to be able to organize you guys, to be able to assist you guys, to be able to get to the right people within government to give you the stories. However, let me also confess that when I left the newsroom to go into PR, I was one of those people that believed you can kill the story in Nairobi. But I think that train left me at the station. Today, you can't ignore the journalist on the ground. Things have truly changed. You know, my first employer was Israeli. You know, Israelis believed in, you know, just telling their own story. They never believed in a contrary story. And so we would wait for Nairobi. You know, something happens in Turkana or in Thika, we always wait at, you know, we have our people at Nation Center or Standard, and we sort it out at that level. So we never bothered with the reporter. But as I've grown in the profession, I have realized things have truly changed. So I have to engage with all these people. You know, the engagement I'm talking about is not the brown envelope, but it's called management. You manage the news, eh? So now the gatekeeping is, so from the correspondent, if it's for the legacy media, as we call it today, there's so many gates for you to take care of. But because of what you guys are doing in the grassroots, that model is no longer working. So our only savior is to give you a good story for you guys to decide. But once in a while, when we're out there and we appreciate, as Maureen is saying, sometimes it's not bribery. We are just getting you to move from one point to the other, and life must move on. So let's just work together. And as Maureen has said, as the landscape changes, let's also learn to change with it. and adapt to the new ways of doing things, okay? Let's be agile. Let's look out for opportunities. I know Maureen and her organization do a lot of grants. I don't know how many of you have come from Belém. How many of you are in Brazil for COP30? None.
No.
How many of you have come from Baku for the ITU? None. What are we doing with ourselves? There's so much. These things are happening where you are. You guys look out for these opportunities. Yeah? Yeah? You're a journalist. You must be curious. You must have a nose for opportunities. So let's, and I know because I was in environment. My station before I went to defense was environment. And in environment is where there's a lot of opportunities for climate action, you know, all these things. I see a lot of good stories you guys do about the rising lakes, Rift Valley lakes. Yeah? Why are you not guys doing programs around them to get donors to support you? It's opportunities are all around us, okay? See what Lake Naivasha is doing to people? Yeah, look at Lake Baringo. Yeah? There's so much opportunity around us. So let's just open our eyes. When I used to go for COP, the last COP I went to was in Baku. You find lots and lots of journalists that are there. And they are not spending their money, they have been sponsored by institutions. There's so many organizations. So as we move on, please look out at sectors that are opening up. Yeah? Of course, climate action is big. Countries in the Scandinavia are crazy about lifestyle. So cycling. You know, a simple story like cycling. Your municipality has done a cycling lane. If you do that story, it gets to Scandinavia, it's a big story because they are obsessed with these bicycles. Me, I have a bicycle here is for poor people. And so if you came from the village riding bicycles and then you come to the city, a bicycle doesn't excite you, isn't it? But in some places it excites them. So let's just look around for opportunities, and I'm sure with organizations like your association here, Media Council, they can help you curate these stories to become international beaters. So for us as government, if you need any support, we are now on the desk. If Media Council is unable to support you, the ministry will support you. We want our people to get to these platforms. Asanteni sana.
Wow, let's appreciate it.
Maybe just to add something on opportunities.
Okay.
He's been asking about the countries and the different opportunities that if anyone has ever gone to. How many of us here have passports? Why am I not seeing all the hands up, Buana? You know, at times an opportunity can come and you don't have a passport and they are depending on you when they work over. Please, if you don't have a passport, please, as a journalist, you need to. I remember back in the day when I was still a very young journalist, and it came to around, I'd practiced for some time. Then in around 2006, I got my first opportunity to go out of the country through Association of Media Women in Kenya, AMWIC. I'm asking the ladies in here, please join AMWIC. I will send them an invoice, but they pay me because I'm the advocate down here for free. Please join, because they took me out of the country. I worked for 1 year outside the country. I didn't have a passport by then. But then for me, because my boss really supported me and understood me, he's called Mr. Maina Mwiruri by then. He was the bureau chief at the Standard where I used to work. He organized for me to sign the documents in the morning. By evening, they're calling him and telling him, we have her passport and we want to close the office. I got my passport within a day. Hey. And I've never looked back. If my passport expires, I have to make sure I renew it, even if it's a baki to hapo. And because Mombasa, one day, it was very immediate. And of course, working in media gives you those opportunities to access services faster. So when you are still relevant, please get a passport. And then please travel. Hata kama utapata mahali international, vuka tu boda, upigiwe muhuri, alafu urudi Kenya, jameni. Tafadhalini, let's have the passports ready.
Wow, asante sana. To appreciate Jameli. Tuwapigie makofi. I want to take maximum of 3 questions. Kama tuna maswali, maximum of 3 questions to the team. I already have 3 hands. Tuko na Ngolo na usiseme one time. Tuko na Ngolo, tuko na Isaac Oyenya, na tuko na Faima. Kindly.
Habari zenu. Mi kwanza sijui naanza wapi. Juu mi na feel watu wanaongelelea government, watu wanasema government inafanya vitu mbaya, wako more in danger kwa society. Juu ukijaribu ongea useme sijui ndaiekaje, lakini wako more in danger. Umeona account za mayouth zinapotea juu ameongea tu ukweli. So watu wanasema wako hapo mbele kama wanatusaidia. Mnasaidiaje wa mayouth kurecover hizo account zao na waendelee kuongea ukweli? Yeah.
Amesema abduction loading. Waihenya?
Nina maswali mawili tu kwa representative wa MCK. Swali langu la kwanza ni grants. Lilizungumziwa asubuhi kwamba muda mwingine MCK inatoa grants lakini zinahusisha tu media house zote. Ni vizuri tu tunagawana keki kwa ujumla, lakini je, kuna maybe wazo la kuweza kuangalia community journalist kwamba kuna grant ambayo specific ni yao? Nadhani mnaweza mkaangazia hilo mwaka 2026, litafaa sana. Swali la pili, kuna swala ambalo huwa tunaona CAK wakifanya, wanafuatilia sana. Ndugu yetu alitaja pale kutoka RFM kwamba wakidelay kidogo kulipa, CAK ipo na wao. Napenda sana vile, ni serikali tu kama nyinyi. Sasa vivyo hivyo kuna media hususan hizi za community. Mimi alijanitokea, lakini waandishi wa habari wanakaa karibia hata takriban miezi 8 hawajalipwa mishahara. Wengine hawana contract. Media Council, mtu atauliza, je, kazi yenu ni ipi kweli kipindi mtu huyu anateseka miezi 8 japo mpo? CAK upande mwingine inafuatilia license vizuri sana na zinalipwa. Nyinyi je, mnaweza mkafuatilia? Maana mtu anakaa hana contract alafu kisha mwenye kibanda anaamua kukifunga. Akifunga kibanda chake ndio mwisho tu. Wale watu wanabaki kuumia. Asante.
Faima, the other client, yeah.
Sorry, nani?
Faima.
Okay.
Na maswali mawili. Moja litakwenda kwa ambaye ana represent serikali, nyingine kwa ambaye ana represent Media Council of Kenya. Kwanza nilikuwa nataka kuuliza kama mimi niko na wale wafanyikazi ambao they have passion lakini hawana certificate, labda alifika katikati hakumaliza kusoma. Je, do you have ama mmekuja na hii kozi ambayo mtu mnaweza mcertify nyinyi as a Media Council of Kenya? Kama bado, naomba tafadhali, kwa sababu kuna hao vijana wako na passion, ana report vizuri, ana edit, lakini hana ile kibali akiwa kule kwenye field. Sema kama rais amekuja, haizi ruhusiwa kwa sababu hana kadi ya Media Council, ama haizi fanya ama kama kulikuwa na by election, sasa siwezi mtuma kwenye field kwa sababu hana hiyo ya Media Council, kwa tuna ya kazi. Alafu nyingine nilikuwa nataka kwa mwakilishi wa serikali, ningeomba kama ombi, unajua sisi kama community radios sisi ndo tuko karibu na hawa client wenu wa affordable housing. Why don't you partner with us kwa sababu sisi ndo tunazungumza direct na wao. We partner, tufunze hawa listeners wetu. Unajua wanasikia affordable housing. Lakini ukienda kumuuliza affordable housing anasema hiyo ni ya matajiri. Lakini juzi nilitembea kule, wanasema vile wanaongea si vile ambavyo au watu wamepata kwenye social media. Unajua bloggers wanaharibu sana media. Sasa kindly ningependa kama mungetupa hiyo opportunity sisi kama redio ya jamii tuweze kupaza sauti hiyo. Asante.
Asante.
Lastly,
watu wa kutoka Turkana. Wewe umetoka wapi? Wewe ongea.
So nilikuwa nauliza MCK, unapata kule mtaani tukifanya kazi kuna mabloggers wako accredited. So unashangaa sasa imekuaje mabloggers wako mtaani wanafanya kazi ya journalist, sasa wanadunisha kazi yetu tukiwa mtaani. Alafu kitu kingine, wizara mnafanyaje kama wizara ku make sure kazi mnafanya inakuwa trusted kwa community na ina make sure kuna transparency? Umeongea about boma yangu, umeongea about kazi ya serikali, mtafanyaje, mtazungumziaje bila ku affect editorial independence? Like sija feel au hujasema vizuri, like unataka nizungumzie hizi stories zote kuhusu cover venye inafanya kazi yake, like nitasemaje, tutasemaje bila kuaffect editorial independence? Asante.
Mpe wa mwisho huyu basi.
Niko na maswali mawili kwa Media Council. Swali la kwanza, kuna hizi awards zenye huwa mnatoa na kuna pengine watu wamefanya story wakiwa watu wawili, na ikifika wakati wa kuaward huyu mtu mnawadi mmoja, wakati waliofanya kazi ni wawili. So mmefika pale mweta mtu mmoja, mpandisha hapo juu, mapiga vigelegele, mwampatia yeye, yuondoka yuaenda. Yule mwingine ambaye amefanya kazi na yeye yuabaki macho kodo. Alafu wakirudi kwa ground wanakosana. Unajua ni kama mbona imekuwaje? This happened this year on May. Hii kitu ili happen, aliumiza watu sana. Tafadhali ingekuwa vizuri, huu ni ushauri nawapatia Sasa ile mnaweka hizo awards zenu, watu apply, be specific. Kijoint semeni hatutaki ama namna gani? Si vizuri bwana. Jambo la pili, kuna hizi media houses zenye sometimes tunapokea interns. Yule intern anakuja pale na hajakuwa accredited, alafu tunamtengenezea press card ya kampuni ya kuonyesha kwamba anafanya kazi mahali fulani. In case of anything happen, Media Council mnaweza ingilia kati, pengine mumsaidie. Asanteni.
Wow, thank you. I think Modi, you can start.
Kuna ile HR policy ya last in first out. Wacha nitumie hiyo, nianze na dada hapa. Waitwa nani vile? Susan. Mtoto wa Pwani. Sasa Susan, wacha nikwambie umechezwa. Because kwa categories za Media Council kuna mahali unasema kama ni joint. Na kama umekuwa ukifuata, let's say kama ni AGJK, ukiangalia kuna wakati unapata wanapanda pale kama watu 3 4. Inakuwa ni camera person, inakuwa ni reporter, inakuwa ni presenter, wote wako pale. Kuna hiyo opportunity. Sasa ukiona hivyo umechezwa, muulize mwenzako akuweke tafadhali. That is one. Na kwa TV, ilikuwa ni TV ama ni print ama ilikuwa ni which platform? Audiovisual. The byline was displayed. It must have, kwa sababu kwa categories inafaa kuwa iko hivyo. Utaniona kando. I can't do anything much about it, but officially you are supposed to be awarded because it was joint effort. Okay. Then the other issue ya interns accreditation. Jamani, intern mkimchukua akitoka skuli anakuja na barua. Akija na barua ni vyema zaidi hiyo shule pia analipa. Wajua kama ni intern ni rahisi 300 bwana. Asije kulipa huko kama raia. Akilipa 300 yake unamchukua, at least you do the right thing. So that now if they go to the field they're already accredited. And again, because of the interns, we normally have the program internship. The current one inaisha this week, I think this week, and then we take on board for the next cohort around from January to March. So if your intern is accredited by us, there's an opportunity for them also to be paid by us. We pay them for the 3 months they attached at a station. Tunalipa 15,000 per month, na pia station will give them something small just to run. Ndio msije mkamwambia jameni hapa hakuna maji, chai huwezi kunywa. Mimi ningekuwa ni intern ninywe chai na cha kazi. Sasa huwa tunajaribu kuwa buffer from the harsh environments that they might be going through at the stations. So just encourage them to accredit while they are still students, because hapo watalipa pesa kidogo. Nikienda kwa issue nyingine ya the grants and the awards, okay, one person nimejibu. Kulikuwa na pale swali la kwanza ya equal shares. Okay, kwa community media, you have a member who was here last year. She's called Ruth Care. She's been working with community media. She's an award winner. So when you know Ruth, good. You know, itafaa unilipe. Na kutaja jina lako kila mahali. Jameni, yule ambaye ameona kama yule ni member wenu. And there's no year, either yeye ni winner ama ni runners up, but she always applies and she always gets. When journalists approach me, manake mimi sina time saizi ya labda nimuelekeze nini, huwa nawatuma kwa Ruth, naambia jameni niende kwa Ruth, atawaeleza how to go about it, how to file, and how to just get in and make sure that you start. I cannot promise that you'll be getting it, but it's good to try than not to try at all. So mtafuteni Ruth pale, she will tell you how she's been doing it. She's been winning all along, and she's from the community media houses. And then the other issue on, at times when you get these grants, kuna wakati mwingine, a few months ago we had one on reporting on the welfare of animals. Now, in particular, donkeys. We don't get donkeys everywhere, right? We get donkeys maybe wapi huko ni wapi, Lamu na wapi kwingine? Tana si sana, wapi huku Turkana, Kajiado. There are specific places where donkeys are, and these are places where journalists are as well. So mkiona kama hizo, please apply. Tukisema hapa ni blue economy, we know blue economy ni kama Coast Region, Kisumu, they are there. Very specific to the communities that we work in. So when you just see the opportunities, please apply. Go to our website, you'll always get them. They are there once in a while. Kuna nyingine imetoka juzi ya, is it health? Education, yes, education. Although bado hawajakuwa facilitated, we also give you mentorship so that once you get it, you know how to write and when to write it and how to balance your story to ensure that your content iko sawa. So hizo opportunities iko hapo. And again, there's a time actually the last 2 years, for our AGJK, the Annual Journalism Excellency Award, tulikuwa hatulali, especially sisi regional coordinators. We were sent specifically kuuliza those who work in stations that broadcast in the local dialects to even have the entries, to submit their entries. But the outcome was not so good because mtu anaona maybe nikisubmit, mtu ataelewa Kikamba, mtu ataelewa Kikuyu, mtu ataelewa Kiluya, but we encourage them to submit. Usijali ati ni Kiswahili ama Kizungu, si lazima. You can even submit in your local dialect. So we are trying to open up the space so that you feel free to just explore and show out your work outside there. Then the issue of payments, non-payment of dues kwa media houses, this one is a long conversation, and unfortunately, mi pia nikiwa media, it was still ongoing. But now, if you look at how the Media Council Act is, and that is what gives the mandate for Media Council to operate under the second schedule. Our work is to ensure we take care of issues of welfare. Issues are not welfare per se, media freedom. And again, it touches a bit on issue of your salaries and all that. But again, look at it this way. Someone has gone, amefungua station, any politician. Tunaenda elections in the coming few months. We'll have our elections. They've opened their station, they've hired their brothers and sisters, and then maybe this politician anapoteza nini kura haingi. So this politician decides not to pay their staff. Leave alone that. We've had a case here, Standard Group, not paying their staff for the longest. That's when we encourage journalists to belong to unions and associations because that is where their mandate lies. Unions and associations are better placed to negotiate for you on behalf of your employers because we are not a union, we are not an association. So that is where the difference is. But we've always wanted to look at how do we ensure that if a journalist is working in a media house, they get their dues and they get it on time. So that is a conversation that is ongoing, and we are really trying to see how it would work. But in the meantime, please join the unions. The other thing is, okay, I think that is it. The courses, there was one question on courses. Someone didn't complete their course. I think that one is a personal one, you will see me. But that's why we have the category of media practitioners. Because kitambo, when some of us were coming in media, tulipata walimu wengi sana ndio wako kwa media houses. So zamani, in media houses, there were no journalists. So ilikuwa ni walimu tu kwa kijijini, mwalimu anajua kuandika vizuri, ana Kiingereza, anaingia media. Many of them, like 85 or 90% of them were teachers. So they were never trained. But we've come to a place whereby most of them are trained and they acquire their certification. That's when we accredit them. But still you get stations that hire them and they're not practicing. They're not journalists, like they've gone to school as journalists. So what we normally do, we introduce that category of media practitioners. That is where you get, we can have someone working at a station, yet hawakuenda shule, but they've been accredited. So we give those considerations. For the bloggers, there was a question on bloggers on the same on accreditation. We work with the Bloggers Association of Kenya, BAKE. So that is one way of us trying to ensure there's sanity in the industry. So that if a blogger is under BAKE, we will ask them, why is your member writing this and they're not supposed to write? So we want to take in as many partners as possible to ensure that now this space we clean it up. It becomes easier for us to approach Beck than to approach an individual journalist. Let's say, na sina wakili, nitataja tu lakini, let's say someone like Maverick. How do you gauge content ya Maverick? You see, how do you compete with the likes of Kinanyakundi? They'll have their own space, and you as media professionals, you have your own space. So it's a conversation that can also be ongoing, but we try to ensure that we try and help where we can. Thank you. Hoping I've answered all.
Yeah, you have pretty much answered.
I think quickly I'll respond to the question of people who are practicing but don't have certification. I think one of the reasons why we are amending, we are doing the KMC Act, is to do something called recognition of prior learning. You realize all the other sectors have moved. You know, there are people, our industry is about passion, isn't it? Yeah, sometimes you go to school to study marketing, but along the way you realize you have a passion for writing or broadcast. So we cannot let you go just like that. So one of the things we are doing is we want to have recognition of prior learning framework. So that, for example, if you've served for 10 years, you're eligible to get a diploma and it is recognized. So as we work on that, encourage them to look out for opportunities online. I have seen Open University of Kenya, for instance. It's an accredited university. It's giving courses online. I don't know whether our courses are already there, but I know AI is there, free of charge. So, and the costs there are a lot more affordable than your normal schooling. It's also a challenge to the association. You know, these are your members. Do a survey. Find out how many out there. Put together, you know, a package. Approach people that can support. Let these people go to school and get the papers. I'm sure if you wrote to Media Council will write to a few partners, and they'll be able to help these young people realize their dreams. That. Number 2 question was about government programs, reporting government programs. It's not the interest of government to influence how you report government programs. We must acknowledge that as government, we as communicators in government, sometimes we fail responding to you. Sometimes we don't speak to the right stakeholders, like you people, because programs are being implemented in the regions where you reside. So sometimes we focus more on Nairobi media, sometimes we focus more on, you know, and so we miss a stakeholder. So if we are doing a housing in Turkana, for instance, or we are doing a housing program, it is incumbent upon us as government officials to come and sit you down and tell you this is how this program will run, so that you can report fairly and in a balanced manner. I have a feeling that sometimes as journalists, we hold on to positions and we feel that anything that anyone says is meant to influence us. Sometimes you need to step out of that thinking. You know, I keep telling people, having been in the newsroom, you know, there are people who get stuck in the newsroom forever, yeah? They just get stuck there because they see everything as a threat, yeah? And they find it very difficult to survive outside the newsroom. You know, as journalists, we're asked to question so much. Sometimes I don't know whether it's a good thing or not, but work in the knowledge that sometimes somewhere along the line you'll transition, okay? And as a human being, you must be ready for that transition. Moody will tell you there are people actually who worked in the newsroom, and when they moved out of the newsroom, they have been unable to adjust. Even if you give them an opportunity elsewhere, they'll start questioning why you have given that opportunity. It's a dangerous place to be for your own survival, because there's life beyond journalism, okay? There's life beyond journalism, and you need to work with that reality. And I'm happy that the PS for affordable housing, the PS for housing will be here to speak to you. But as I said in the morning, don't be too passionate to let opportunities pass by you. You know, if a house is being built in your neighborhood and the money government wants is lower than what you pay rent, and you pay rent, please take that house. This government will go, another government will come, and people will still live in those houses. You get what I'm saying? So if you can afford please take it up. You're not compromising your profession by benefiting from a government project. You get what I'm saying? I'll speak of towns that I know. Kakamega, for example. Those of you that come from Kakamega, if you see where those houses have been built, it's prime. Yeah? If you get a house there for 2 million, you will never afford a house like that anywhere else. So if you have an opportunity, please take it. The last thing is, I think I've covered most of the issues. Unless, the issue of CAK, I think that was answered by Moody in terms of payments for journalists and what we need to do. I think join associations, join union, so that they can fight for you.
I think there was a question from Ngolo on censorship of social media.
Yeah. Okay. The question of censorship is a bit complicated because it's not blanket, and I also don't want to deny that at some times government looks, and mostly for security reasons. It's not that they are targeting you for criticizing government, because people say all sorts of things about government in this country, and unless, I don't know, unless you have like what she has given for Maverick, yeah, say bad things about many people, yeah, even herself. People say they have lost accounts. I cannot explain, but when that happens, please speak up, and seek answers on why it has been done. Someone somewhere will give you a response as to how and why that account has been lost. But sometimes also, Kenyans have this hype culture. Sometimes just someone says something, but when you look at it in real sense, it doesn't even exist. Okay? Because you want to trend. There's something about trending and that kind of thing. But also, let's do these things responsibly. Okay? We have a country at the risk of overshooting my time. We have a country to protect. We have a country to live in. We have children to raise. We have a future to protect as a country. So let's not do things also just out of excitement and the spur of the moment that may run down the country. So that's the prayer for every one of us. Let's hold government to account. Please hold government to account. I like the gentleman who said that our studio Mashinani is behind his studio. So if we had spoken to them, we would not do studio Mashinani there. We would just find a partnership. In fact, that idea is very good. I'm going to sell it to PS and to KBC. If you go to a town, let's say you see Malindi, and you scout around and you find that there's a studio that is good, okay? Why would you do studio Mashinani in that town? Why don't you just partner with that studio that is underutilized, okay? Find an arrangement, and you will spend less money, maybe to upgrade the equipment, to give them high-speed internet, and then you agree on a schedule of using that studio, isn't it? Instead of doing new brick and mortar, yeah? Hiring a new building or building a new structure and equipping it. So those are the ideas that we want to work with as government.
Wow, thank you very much, my guest today. I think we have really a lot to talk about, but that has been very, very insightful. Sindio, tuwapigeni makofi jamani, tuwapigeni makofi jamani. Nadhani we will have a team photo hapa kidogo tupate kapicha.
Kameramani.
Pia mimi nianze kusumbua mitandao. We must be seen. Tuangalie wapi tukae kama macho yetu.
Tuwapigie makofi. That was such an insightful session. And we are going to pick it up from there tomorrow. I know it has been intense. It has been insightful. It has been thoughtful, thought-provoking. Watu wamefungua roho. And we still have 4 more days to to catch up. So with that said and done, we are closing for day one. Makofi ya day one. And I'd like to invite Annette from AGJK to close it off. Tukunywe chai, alafu tupatane kesho hapa by saa 2. Yes, so it's been nice doing this today. Let's meet tomorrow. Munipigie makofi. Thank you.
Habari yenu. I don't want to keep you long. Thank you so much for your attention. I can see most of us are tired. I can see some of us are dozing, but I hope you've learned something. Sindo? Yeah, I hope you've learned something. I want to teach you just one way of appreciating or clapping, just a new way. I don't know if you know it. So when I say mpe snap, you do like this. Mpe stamp, you do like this. And then when I say mpe clap, you do one ta 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 ta. Mpe clap, ta 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 ta, like that, okay? So we try. So mpe snap is once, mpe stamp is once, and then clap is the 3. So let's go. Mpe snap, mpe stamp, mpe clap, mpe clap. Fantastic. So I want to especially thank our speakers. I think Mr. Temesi has just stepped out. Especially thank our speakers for today. All the panel discussions have been so insightful, especially this last one. Thank you so much, Maureen. Thank you for your time. I think you're the definition of somebody who has honed her craft. You've done such a good job and you know what you're doing. Thank you so much for all the insight and for what Temesi has shared. I want to thank all of you guys for attending, for participating. You've asked questions. You've made it worthwhile to be here. Sawa sawa. Thank you so much. And as just my challenge to you, as we go to day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, out of all the discussions that we are doing, I hope you get something that feeds to our theme. We are talking about viability and sustainability. I hope from day 1 to day 5, you've gotten something that will make either you personally as a journalist more sustainable, that will make your station, if you're the manager or whoever, more sustainable. Sawa sawa. I want, and the aim for us at AGJK is that next year, we will stop saying that we are working as volunteers. We stop saying that 2,000 is too much to pay for subscription. In fact, we will be saying, what more opportunity do you guys want us to pay for so that we move ahead? That's my challenge to all of us. Sindio, that's our challenge. In fact, from AGJK to all of you guys, is by next year, we are having a very different conversation as far as sustainability and viability is concerned. Sawa sawa. I want all of you, we have found, by the time we finish here, we have found ways that nobody is working on volunteer basis, nobody is not able to pay for their families, their sustenance, basic things like that. Sawa sawa. I want us to be talking about, we have an opportunity to this place. I have 500,000, I need 600 more. We tutafuta mali tutakutolea, sindio? Yeah, such opportunities. Thank you so much. God bless you. See you tomorrow. Come excited, come open-hearted, come with an open heart to learn. We are going to learn. We stay, I think Martin Luther said, stay hungry, stay. Somebody, I'll give you a prize. Stay hungry, stay. He said, stay hungry, stay foolish. That means, stay hungry, it means you always want to eat. Stay foolish, it means you always want to learn. Sawa sawa. God bless you. See you tomorrow. Yeah. So we'll go outside and have some tea. You can have some tea, and then you go. We'll sort you out for the evening. Don't worry. You'll be well taken care of. And then the T-shirts, please keep them. We'll wear them on Friday. Yeah. Yes, you have a question? No. You can leave. After tea, you're free to leave to do whatever it is you want to do. And then we see you tomorrow. Oh, the bus, how to go to yes, the bus is there. But if you wish to still go to your personal endeavors, you can. You're free to do so. Yes. But if you want to go back to the premises, it's very much available. So God bless you. See you tomorrow.